Welcome to the Spokesman Speaks, a podcast for farmers and ag professionals by the Iowa Farm Bureau, bringing you the news, experts, and educational insights that matter most. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to part 2 of our special 3-part edition of the Spokesman Speaks podcast. I'm Caitlin Lamb, and this week we're at Iowa Farm Bureau's annual meeting and county leadership conference, a time when members from all across the state gather in Des Moines to celebrate agriculture, rural communities, and the people who keep it all going. And tonight, we get to honor 3 of those outstanding people, our Young Farmer Leadership Award recipients. Last episode, we heard from Devon Murray of Floyd County. Today, we're heading over to Buchanan County to visit Randy Francois, a Winthrop area farmer who's proud to raise his kids with his wife in the town he grew up in and wants to see thrive.
We're kind of right in the heart of where I grew up, and we're really fortunate to be in a really active community and where the kids are really involved, and I like to be involved in what they do, and I enjoy doing everything I can in the community and helping out where I can.
As you're about to hear, Randy's commitment to good stewardship in every aspect of his life really shines through when you get him talking about his family and farm. Tell me about your family farm.
We're independent hog producers here in Buchanan County, and we have a really good operation with a lot of different people. We have a partnership now, so as the operation sits today, we have my mom and dad are still involved. We have a business partner who's a neighbor that's been working for us his whole life. My wife and I, my wife is the secretary in the office. She's kind of taken over for my mom, as my mom has willingly stepped away and wanted to have some more time to just kind of relax a little bit. And then we have 2 or 3 other full-time guys and part-time guys that kind of work around the operation. So when I graduated high school, I never thought I would be back on the family farm. You know, I went to college at University of Northern Iowa. I got my degree in management. I kind of helped here and there on the farm, but I didn't really see that I would be back full-time. But as I was in college more and was gone, you miss it and you want to be back home and you know where you came from. I started at a John Deere dealership right out of college, and I was selling GPS technology, and I was about 15, 20 minutes away from home. So that got me a little closer. Started to kind of help out a little more at nights, you know, harvest, spring work. And then Dad kind of asked me if I wanted to rent some ground. And yes, I took him up on that. And that's kind of where the passion kind of grew, I guess. Growing up, you know, I did a lot of weaning pigs and power washing and stuff like that. And that's probably why I didn't want to come back to the farm full time. But, you know, as I got older, I learned there was a lot more to farming than day-to-day labor, you know, the management side, the financial side, putting a crop plan together and picking out your seeds and marketing the grain and everything like that. That's running a business, more or less. And I like to see the bigger picture, to see kind of how everything fits together in the operation, managing the people, managing the crop, and putting it all together. And that's what I grew to love, I guess.
Well, it sounds like you have plenty of things going on here on the farm, but you're also a young husband, a young family. I'd love to hear more about them.
My wife, Megan, and I will be married 10 years this week, actually. And we have 3 children, JJ and Macy and Kale. So they are 6, 5, and 2. They go to East Buchanan High School in Winthrop here, which is right close to us. That's where I graduated, so we're kind of right in the heart of where I grew up, and we're really fortunate to be in a really active community and where the kids are really involved, and I like to be involved in what they do, and I enjoy doing everything I can in the community and helping out where I can.
Well, it's kind of funny to hear you talk about your journey leaving the farm and coming back, because I hear very similar things from my husband. Like, I'll ask my mother-in-law if he was as excited as a little boy to be on the farm as like my son, and the answer is no, probably because he lived it like day in and day out. So sometimes having that space to go out and do your own thing and then come back is so meaningful. And when I was talking to your kids earlier, it sounds like plenty of activities, plenty of sports, and you help coach some of that?
Yep, that's right. They love sports. So I played 4 sports in high school: football, basketball, golf, baseball, and then worked on the family farm as well. And what I really loved about playing sports is being a part of the community, being a part of a team culture. and it's really hard to get that back when you're older. But, as me being involved in other organizations like Farm Bureau and helping out coaching and stuff like that, you feel like you're part of a team again. So with the kids being in sports and being involved with that, like, I love being around the kids and kind of building that team culture and building the team, the town, the community. We have really good people in our community, and the sports and everything kind of ties that up. And in rural Iowa, we really need that homegrown thing, because we're losing that as we get more people moving out of our small towns. I like to see that our small hometowns stay kind of vibrant in youth athletics and giving kids opportunities in all activities. I like to be in part of a small community, and if I see somebody that just needs an extra hand, I can step up and be willing to help them out and just kind of say, he's a farmer and he's willing to help, and here I am.
I also think it's interesting how you talk a lot about teamwork in both the farm, but then also in athletics. And I kind of asked a similar question of Devon, because he also farms and coaches. I'm curious how your philosophy goes back and forth between the two settings, the lessons that translate to both areas.
So I guess the number one thing is, patience. So when you're coaching kids, everybody's going to have a rough day, or there's going to be a lot of things going on that you cannot control. So patience is the number one thing you need. We got a lot of moving parts around the farm every day. Patience and having a good plan put together and good communication, that is very important, just like on an athletic field or on a farm on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes you feel like you're over-communicating, but we need people in the right places, and we got to have a plan in place, otherwise the day will not go as you think. And then at the same time, you have to pivot. When you have adversity, when something's not going right, you got to be able to switch gears, and because you don't know the weather, you don't know, something might change, a breakdown of weather. And just like when you're playing athletics, you don't know what the opponent's going to be, and that's my biggest thing. And then just having fun. Every time when we play a game with the kids or whatever, I tell the kids, just have fun and let it fly. I mean, just every day, just be happy to be doing what you're doing. And, it's really cool to be here in Iowa and be a part of a farm and a legacy that we're just very fortunate to have.
Yeah. And going forward with other things that you're involved in the community, obviously Farm Bureau. So why did you choose to get involved with your local county board?
So we were at the state fair, and we popped into the Farm Bureau tent. I signed up to be a member, tried to win whatever free prize they were offering at that time. So then we got the Spokesman in the mail, and I saw there was the Young Farmer Conference. So we signed up because, we thought it looked cool. So went down to Des Moines for the Young Farmer Conference, and we had a great time. Just the people that we met there, they were all in our similar stories. Like, we weren't farming, so we didn't know what to expect. Like, the whole way down, we're like, well, what are we even going to talk about? We're we don't farm. What are we going to tell the people? Well, most of the people we ran into down there, they were not farming either. They were going through the same situations as us. A lot of them were working in town. They were just eager to get back to farming. They liked agriculture. Then after the fact, what does the local Delaware County board do? They said, hey, you just went to the farmers conference and you guys had a good time. Do you want to join our board? Okay, yeah, sure. So come to a board meeting. I got on that, and there were some really, really good mentors on that board when I first started, that they had done a lot with Farm Bureau in policy and just being involved, and just good farmers doing good things. And they kind of showed me the way in the Farm Bureau, and that really taught me a lot of what the Farm Bureau organization is. It's not just the insurance company on the side of the building. Like me playing sports in high school, I saw Farm Bureau all over, but I didn't know of it as the farm organization that it is, and that I've grown to love. Being involved in policy and just the networking and having good people around. I mean, that's why I'm involved in Farm Bureau. And so I was all the way through on the Delaware County board, got clear up to vice president in that board. And during that time, I did ag leaders with Farm Bureau. And then I transitioned over to the Buchanan County board, because that's where we actually live in Buchanan County. My kids go to school in Buchanan County. We farm in Buchanan County. The stuff that I'm doing on this board is going to serve Buchanan County better. So I need to switch boards and start in Buchanan County, so I can be making direct impact to talking with the supervisors, talking to the legislators that actually impact our farm and our operation and my community. And I guess that's kind of where that went. And then Megan and I have been on the Young Farmer Advisory Committee. We were the District 1 Directors Young Farmer Advisory Committee. And then I was privileged enough to be the chairman my final year. And it was a great opportunity. And then after being the chair for a year, then you get to sit on the State Board of Directors and be the representative for the state board. And so to be on the state board and see how the state board operates and just get into the conversations at a higher level of Farm Bureau and what they talk about in those meetings. And you really get a sense of how much meaningful impact that Farm Bureau does in every single community, all 99 counties. I mean, we are truly a grassroots organization where the policies, and if somebody has an issue, neighbors have an issue, they talk about it, and then it grows up through the policy development process. And we take that all the way to the resolutions committee, which I was fortunate enough to sit on that as well. And we truly are making policy from a local level, from a bottom up, not top down. And that means something at the State House. I mean, when you talk to the legislators, Farm Bureau has a great voice at the Capitol because they know everything has been vetted through every single county. Farmers actually have thought about this, voted on it, and truthfully thought it out, just not say, this needs to change, this needs to change. They've truly thought about it, and that's really important to me to be a part of an organization that cares about farmers and communities in rural Iowa.
We've talked about a lot of opportunities you've had through Farm Bureau, Ag Leaders, Young Farmer Advisory Committee, and being the chair of that, just going to Young Farmer conferences and being involved in policy. What has been your biggest takeaway in terms of leadership? Because some of those are working with very different groups of people.
I'm a type of person, I like to have fun, I guess. And if people are having fun and enjoying what they're doing, they're going to work toward a common goal a little easier. Try to keep it loose and laid back, I guess. But then, step up and be helpful, be organized, be the first one to help clean something up. If something needs picked up, pick up chairs. I mean, just doing simple things like that, I guess. I'm more of a lead by example type of guy. I like to just go the extra mile and just help wherever I can. I can remember some of the early Young Farmer conferences that my wife and I attended. There's one person I can think of, Chasten Stevenson. He was the chair at the time, and it was my first or second year at conference, and I just saw Chasten, and how he talked, how people flocked to him. I always saw him, and I thought, that's somebody I want to be like. I felt like he cared about, like he actually asked questions to me, and I felt like he was genuine and felt like he was actually wanted to hear what I had to say. And there were a couple other mentors like that I can remember from early on, that when I was younger and first involved, I kind of picked a few people out, like if I could be like them, or just kind of watched how they carried themselves. And it was a good way to kind of mold myself and kind of grow a little bit as I started to learn. And then as I became older and got into other roles, I felt like I was prepared because of watching how other people presented and carried themselves.
With your involvement with the local Farm Bureau board, what types of activities do you all do in the community?
I actually drove a tractor and planter into the Whitewater Park in Manchester when I was on the Delaware County board. And I called it a cram the cab. So people gave a donation to the food pantry, and I sat in the tractor cab and walked around the corn planter. And when they were having a River Days festival there, people kind of walked around the planter, and I was telling them about agriculture and what this corn planter does and this and that. They got to sit in the tractor cab and see all the technology in the cab. We had the soil and water conservation there, and they had a demonstration, and it was a really good activity for families and kids to kind of see it's not your grandpa's tractor anymore. There's enough equipment in there to take off an airplane. At the fairgrounds, we worked with the University of Iowa to bring in an ATV, and we taught a course on ATV safety for local kids. You got to be really safe on those pieces of equipment. And then working with legislators, I want to be a spokesperson as the county board. I want to be able to talk with the supervisors one-on-one and be an opinion for them if they have questions about agriculture, animal agriculture in our county. And then working with legislators at a state level, same thing. It's just really important to be able to have those conversations with the state legislators and know them on a personal basis. And I've enjoyed doing that kind of work.
I do want to take a quick break here to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Just answer the first thing that pops into your head so we can get to know a little bit more about Randy.
Okay.
So what is the weirdest thing you found in a field?
Hubcap.
What's most often playing in your tractor cab?
Iowa Hawkeye podcast.
What food always makes it into your lunchbox during harvest?
Probably a pork stick.
Well, yeah, you got to keep the energy
Yeah,
levels up.
Yeah.
What's a phrase or saying you live by?
Go Hawks.
What's a mistake you can laugh about now, but you definitely didn't laugh about it then?
Last Mother's Day, I chose to plant corn and not go to Mother's Day brunch with my family, and I put the planter in the ditch.
Oh,
It
man.
was not a good day.
I mean, mistakes were made on so many levels.
I did not plant on Mother's Day this year.
It's okay. We learn from our mistakes. And then what's your earliest memory of being on the farm?
Probably just weaning pigs as a young kid. I remember having to catch little piglets, and we used to push a feed cart down and scoop feed into the sows.
Well, when you talk about your earliest memory, and then you also have these 3 little ones growing up on the farm, if they don't become farmers, what do you hope for them being able to live this type of life?
My wife and I have always said, you don't come back to the farm because nothing else worked. It's better to have a passion and have an eagerness to want to come back and farm. So, we hope to carry this legacy on, and this operation will be here if they want to, but we want to see them go out and do whatever they want to do, and we'll be here. So we look forward to grow in the future.
You talk about how important community is to you, and as a recipient of this grant, you are given money to give to another community organization. Who did you choose and why?
We chose to give it to the East Buchanan FFA. Going to school there, we did not have an FFA program, and they probably started it within the last 10 years, so they're kind of still up and coming. There's been a lot of really successful kids that have gone through that program that have came back into agriculture, and so I'd like to see that program continue to grow. And having a good, strong FFA program in a rural community like East Buchanan, where we have a lot of rural farm kids, I'm really excited to help them kind of build for their program for their future and kind of just keep that rural vitality here in Winthrop and in our community, giving kids an opportunity in agriculture. We've rooted ourselves here, and we want a vibrant school, and we want kids to be able to kind of experience agriculture because we'll probably need them back here working in some sense. So kind of having that ties with the FFA chapter, I think that's what we chose to do.
When you talk about rural vitality and needing them to come back, obviously farms like yours and all the farms in the county are important to that mission. And I'm curious what your future goals are for your family farm.
My parents started this farm in the 70s. They had a few hired people, but just the 2 of them kind of grew this farm kind of from nothing. My grandpa farmed, but my dad did not farm with him. Been very fortunate to be a part of it. I'm the youngest child that they have. I was fortunate that they were ready to continue to grow when I was able to come back. And around that same time, we've had really good help. We have a business partner, Ryan, that lives a few miles down the road. He grew up in town. His mom worked at the local feed store. Dad was picking up feed one day, and she said, "Hey, my son's looking for a job. Is there anything he could do this summer?" And so he started working for us from the time he was young, and now he's a business partner with me and my dad. We have another employee that I grew up playing sports with, and he used to tag along with me and come back to the farm and help every summer, and now he's working full-time for us and is a great asset to our team. And then now we have college-age family and cousins that are working for us, and they're great assets. It's nice to have younger people than me to do some of the projects and lift heavy things, so I don't have to do all the lifting
You're not
anymore.
that old.
I'm a young farmer, but it's still nice to have that younger help around. And then as my kids get older, I look forward to working with them. So our operation, we're just kind of looking at staying efficient and doing the right thing every day, raising good quality pork, and we kind of always just take things in stride, and as new opportunities come, we want to be prepared for them, but, always also have a plan in place of when opportunities come along that they're the right opportunities for our farm at that time. And having good goals and having good vision for the future, that makes it easier when you see something come along to actually be able to execute and jump on that opportunity when it comes.
As someone who does raise pigs, obviously you know that sometimes, I don't want to say you all get thrown under the bus for certain things, but you talked about animal welfare. We know water quality is a big thing. Do you find that it's easy for you to build trust in your community when it comes to raising pigs, or have there been some challenging conversations?
You run into people who just maybe don't understand. A lot of them really never experienced what it's really like. So I just introduce myself as, hi, I'm Randy. I'm a farmer in Iowa. I tell people the stories about I chore the pigs twice a day. I'll tell them stories about how it's 30 degrees outside and it's 70, 75 degrees. A piglet's in a 80-degree barn with a heater right over top of them, and they're piled up and nestled up and having just a great time, and how there's fresh food and water available for them 24/7. There's ventilation and fans, and we have misters in the summertime. You can walk in, it can be 90 degrees outside, and it's, I'm getting sunburned outside, but I walk in a pig barn and it's 75 degrees in there, and there's a 20-mile-an-hour breeze, and there's misters going in there, and it's really comfortable in there. And I guess that's the story I like to tell about animal agriculture is, we are doing the right thing. We care about them. They are a livelihood. We live every day to make sure that the animals are healthy, and we are growing a safe, affordable protein source for people. And it's very important to us to take care of the ground. So we have our manure plans. We're actively soil sampling every acre. The pigs are creating the nutrients, and then we put them right back into the soil. We actually have our own manure application equipment, so we're doing all that using GPS technology, and we're measuring every acre, every gallon. We know exactly how much is going on in the ground. Here in Buchanan County, we're pretty flat in some areas, then we got low hills in some areas, so it's kind of a not one size fits all. So we have some just traditional tillage areas, we have some rye cover crops, and if the farm needs it, especially after soybeans, we like to grow a rye crop, and then we're putting that hog manure back in and growing corn the following year. A lot of times in the fall, we'll seed down in the highly erodible areas or the more sensitive areas of the field, just so we have some living cover over the winter time. So in the springtime we can, and then we'll kind of just repeat the process. We have terraces in some places, and we take a lot of pride in taking care of everything. We kind of live that way, taking care of the ground that we have. This family, I was raised here. My siblings come back, everybody comes back, and we call this the home farm, and kind of really fortunate to be here and kind of live a legacy with my parents and family, and hopefully one day, for many years, my kids are doing the same thing.
I hope you enjoyed hearing Randy's story. Subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks in your favorite podcast app to tune into the final interview tomorrow, December 10th, with Blake Anderson of Adams County. And thanks for listening to the Spokesman Speaks.
Thank you for listening to the Spokesman Speaks, a podcast by Iowa Farm Bureau. Check out more podcast episodes at iowafarmbureau.com/podcast. You can also find and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks podcast in the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular podcast apps. We appreciate your ratings and reviews, and we welcome you to email us your feedback at podcast@ifbf.org.